Alpha. Chapter 3. The Bloodline Secret. The symbol on Ethan's wrist blazed like molten silver. He fell to one knee. Pain surged through his entire body. It felt as though fire raced through his veins. "Ethan," his father shouted. Lyra grabbed his shoulders. "Look at me!" But Ethan could barely hear her. The world around him had changed. Every sound was amplified. He could hear the wind moving through distant trees, the beating hearts of villagers, the flutter of wings high above the clouds, and something else. A voice, ancient, powerful, calling his name. Ethan. His eyes snapped open. "Did you hear that?" Lyra frowned. "Hear what?" "Someone called me." The voice came again. "Find me." Then silence. The silver symbol faded. The pain vanished. Ethan stood shakily. His father looked terrified. "What just happened?" Lyra's face was grim. "The bloodline is awakening." "The bloodline of what?" She hesitated. "The last Alpha." The words seemed to darken the night itself. They gathered in Ethan's home. No one else could know, not yet. Lyra spread several ancient maps across the table. Each showed different kingdoms, different forests, different mountain ranges, but all had one thing in common: a black mark, far north, beyond civilization. "What is that place?" Lyra pointed to it. "The Moonfang Citadel." Even the name sounded ancient. Thousands of years ago, the first werewolves ruled from there. Ethan stared. Werewolves ruled kingdoms? Not ruled. She paused. They protected them. Ethan blinked. "What?" Lyra nodded. "The stories you've heard are incomplete. The werewolves weren't monsters. They became monsters." The room grew quiet. Long ago, humans and werewolves lived together. The first alphas protected entire nations, but power corrupted them. One alpha sought immortality. Another sought conquest. Pack fought pack. Kingdom fought kingdom. The result was centuries of war. Eventually, most alphas were killed. The survivors vanished, or so everyone believed. Lyra looked directly at Ethan. One bloodline survived. The realization slowly formed. No. Yes. Ethan stared at her. "You descend from the original Alpha Kings." His father lowered his head. The truth finally spoken aloud. Ethan's world changed forever. Hours later, he couldn't sleep. He wandered outside. The village was silent. Moonlight illuminated empty streets. Then he noticed someone standing near the well. A girl, perhaps his age, dark hair, gray cloak. Watching him. When she realized he'd seen her, she smiled, not threatening, curious. "Who are you?" The girl tilted her head. "Someone who should not be here. That's not an answer." She laughed. The sound was surprisingly warm. "My name is Celine." For some reason the name felt familiar, like a memory he couldn't reach. "You live in Black Hollow?" "No." "Then where are you from?" Her expression changed. "Far away." Before Ethan could ask more, bells suddenly rang. The village alarm. Again, everyone rushed into the streets. A guard stumbled through the gates, bleeding, terrified. "Wolves." The villagers froze. "How many?" The guard swallowed. His answer chilled everyone. "Hundreds." Beyond the walls, glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. Then more, and more, and more. The forest itself seemed alive. Werewolves emerged from the trees, massive, silent, watching. The villagers backed away. Some prayed, others cried. The beasts didn't attack. They simply waited, as if obeying orders. Then the crowd parted. A giant figure stepped forward, nearly 8 feet tall, black fur, golden eyes, scarred face. The Alpha, the same Alpha who had awakened in the mountains. He stood before the gates, smiling. His voice rolled across the village. "Ethan." Every villager turned toward him. The Alpha continued. Chapter 4. Daughter of the enemy. No one moved. No one breathed. The Alpha's golden eyes remained fixed on Ethan. The young man stepped forward despite himself. His father grabbed his arm. "No." The Alpha laughed. A deep, terrifying sound. "He fears the truth." "Stay back," shouted the mayor. Several archers raised bows. The Alpha didn't even look at them. "You cannot stop what is coming." His gaze returned to Ethan. "You carry our blood." Ethan's heart pounded. "What do you want from me?" The Alpha smiled. "Everything." Then chaos erupted. One nervous archer released an arrow. The shaft flew straight toward the Alpha. Without looking, he caught it. The entire village gasped. The Alpha snapped the arrow in half. "My patience grows thin." The werewolves behind him growled. Hundreds of glowing eyes illuminated the darkness. One command from him could unleash slaughter. Yet he remained calm, almost respectful. Almost. Then his eyes shifted. Toward the crowd. Toward Celine, the mysterious girl. For the first time, the Alpha looked shocked. Impossible. Celine stepped forward. Her gray cloak fell away. Gasps echoed across the village. Around her neck hung a silver pendant marked with the ancient wolf symbol, the same symbol as Ethan's. The Alpha's expression darkened instantly. Celine, you shouldn't be here. Neither should you. The tension between them was obvious. Dangerous. Ethan looked between them. You know each other? Neither answered immediately. Finally, Celine sighed. Yes. The Alpha's eyes narrowed. Tell him. She looked at Ethan. Regret filled her face. Then she spoke. I'm sorry. For what? Her next words changed everything. I'm his daughter. Silence. Absolute silence. The Alpha, the warlord, the leader of the werewolf armies. Celine was his daughter. The village erupted into panic. She's one of them. Get away from her. Monster. But Celine never looked away from Ethan. She seemed genuinely sorry. The Alpha folded his arms. Now he knows. Ethan's mind raced. You lied to me. I had to. Why? Because my father would kill me if he knew I came here. The Alpha's growl suggested she wasn't exaggerating. Then something unexpected happened. Another howl echoed across the valley. Different, louder, more savage. The Alpha's expression changed immediately. Concern. The werewolves behind him became restless. A second howl followed. Then a third. The Alpha turned toward the mountains. No. For the first time, he sounded afraid. Lyra stepped forward. What is it? The Alpha ignored her. Far in the distance, the night sky suddenly glowed red, not from sunset, from fire, huge fire. The horizon burned, a village, or perhaps an entire city. The Alpha whispered a single name, Ragnar. Lyra's face turned pale. That's impossible. Apparently not. Ethan looked between them. Who is Ragnar? Nobody answered right away. The Alpha finally spoke. The monster who destroyed the first Alpha kingdom. The wind howled. The fires in the distance continued spreading. The Alpha's voice became deadly serious. He was supposed to be dead. Celine looked horrified. If Ragnar is alive, the Alpha nodded, then the war is already lost. Ethan stared. The leader of the werewolf armies, the most powerful creature he'd ever seen, terrified. And suddenly Ethan realized something. The Alpha wasn't here to conquer Black Hollow. He wasn't hunting Ethan. He was trying to find him first, before something far worse could. And somewhere beyond the burning horizon, an ancient evil long believed dead opened blood-red eyes beneath a ruined throne. A voice echoed through the darkness. Find the heir. Thousands of monstrous howls answered. The true hunt had begun. To be continued in Chapter 5, The Crimson King. Moon of the Last Alpha. Chapter 5, Revised. The Crimson King's Warning. The night felt wrong. Not dangerous, not frightening, wrong, as though the world itself had noticed something it wasn't supposed to notice. The Alpha stood outside Black Hollow's gates, staring north toward the distant mountains. Behind him, hundreds of werewolves waited silently among the trees. None spoke, none moved. The forest had become unnaturally still. Even the wind seemed afraid. Ethan couldn't stop looking at Celine. The revelation still echoed through his mind. I'm his daughter. The words had changed everything. The mysterious girl he'd met beside the village well, the girl who appeared in the middle of the night, the girl who somehow seemed to understand him, was the daughter of the most feared Alpha alive. Part of him felt betrayed, part of him felt relieved, and another part couldn't explain why he still trusted her. The villagers remained gathered near the gates. Nobody wanted to return home. Not while hundreds of werewolves surrounded their village. Not while the future stood uncertain. Not while the Alpha himself stood only a few yards away. Then the distant red glow appeared. Far beyond the northern mountains, a burning horizon, a wound in the darkness. Everyone noticed it. The Alpha's expression immediately changed. The confidence vanished. For the first time, Ethan saw genuine alarm. Not anger, not caution, alarm. Ragnar. The name left the Alpha's mouth like a curse. Lyra's eyes widened. That's impossible. The Alpha never looked away from the burning horizon. I hope you're right. Ethan stepped forward. You keep talking about Ragnar. Nobody answered. His frustration finally surfaced. I'm tired of half-truths. The mark on his wrist glowed faintly. Tell me who he is. The Alpha slowly turned. Moonlight illuminated the scars covering his face. Scars older than Ethan could imagine. Scars earned in wars forgotten by history. For a long moment, he remained silent. Then he spoke. When I was a child, mothers used Ragnar's name to frighten their children. The villagers listened. The werewolves listened. Even the wind seemed to listen. He wasn't simply a king. The Alpha's voice became quieter. He wasn't simply a warrior. He was the strongest Alpha ever born. Ethan frowned. Stronger than you? A bitter smile appeared. Far stronger. The village fell silent. Nobody expected that answer. Thousands of years ago, the Alpha continued. The world belonged to the Alpha Kingdom. Humans and werewolves lived together, not perfectly, but together. The first Alpha ruled from Moonfang Citadel. The kingdoms prospered. There was peace. Then his eyes darkened. Until Ragnar, the temperature seemed to drop. He wanted more. More power, more control, more life. He believed death was a flaw. The Alpha's voice carried old hatred. He searched for forbidden magic. He searched for ancient creatures. He searched for secrets buried beneath the world. Celine lowered her eyes. She had clearly heard this story before, yet it still troubled her. Eventually, the Alpha said, he found something. Something in his tone made Ethan uneasy. What? The Alpha hesitated. Not then spoke a single sentence. Nobody knows. The answer surprised everyone. We know where he went. We know where he searched. We know what happened afterward. The Alpha's golden eyes reflected the distant red glow, but nobody knows what he found. The mountains rumbled, softly, almost too quietly to notice. The Alpha looked north, his expression hardened. When Ragnar returned, he wasn't the same. He had become something else. A cold breeze swept through Black Hollow. He slaughtered entire armies. He shattered kingdoms. He nearly destroyed the Alpha bloodline. The villagers listened in horrified silence. He should have won. The Alpha looked directly at Ethan, but then the last Alpha appeared. Ethan's heartbeat quickened. The silver bloodline, the bloodline you carry. The mark on Ethan's wrist began glowing brighter. The first Alpha's descendants gathered what remained of the world. They fought Ragnar. They defeated him. They imprisoned him. Ethan swallowed. Then why is everyone afraid? The Alpha's answer came immediately, because they never killed him. Silence. Far away, the burning horizon suddenly flared brighter. The Alpha's eyes narrowed. No. Then it happened. A howl echoed across the mountains. Not a wolf's howl, not even close. The sound shook the earth, shattered windows, knocked villagers off their feet. Birds exploded from the forest. Horses panicked. Children screamed. The Alpha's face turned pale. What was that? Ethan asked. Nobody answered. Because everyone already knew. Whatever had made that sound wasn't human, wasn't werewolf, wasn't natural. Another howl followed, closer, much closer. The distant red glow expanded, like a spreading fire, like a growing wound. Then shadows appeared along the mountain ridges. Hundreds, thousands, moving, marching, an army. The villagers stared in horror. The Alpha slowly unsheathed a massive silver blade. Lyra drew her sword. The werewolf shifted into battle forms. Even Celine looked frightened. Ethan felt the mark on his wrist burn. The pain nearly brought him to his knees. Visions flooded his mind. A throne of bone, a sky of crimson fire, an endless battlefield, countless dead. And standing above them all, a figure in crimson armor, watching, waiting, smiling. Red eyes suddenly locked onto Ethan through the vision. The figure spoke. At last! Ethan gasped and stumbled backward. The vision vanished instantly. What happened? Lyra demanded. Ethan struggled to breathe. He saw me. The Alpha froze. What? Ethan's face had gone pale. I don't know how. I don't know why, but he saw me. The silence that followed felt endless. The Alpha slowly looked north, toward the mountains, toward the growing red glow, toward the approaching darkness. And for the first time in centuries, the ancient war truly began. By sunrise, Ethan would leave Black Hollow forever, and ahead lay the road of shadows, the place where destiny waited, the place where the silver wolf would awaken, the place where monsters older than history stirred beneath the earth. And somewhere far beyond the northern mountains, the Crimson King opened his eyes. End of revised chapter 5. Next, chapter 6, than before. Moon of the Last Alpha. Chapter 6, The Road of Shadows. The journey north began beneath a sky of iron-gray clouds. Black Hollow disappeared behind them as dawn broke over the mountains. Ethan rode in silence, glancing back one final time at the village that had been his home for 17 years. The rooftops were already fading into the mist. For a moment he wanted to turn around, to forget the werewolves, Forget the bloodline. Forget the prophecy. Forget everything. But the glowing mark on his wrist reminded him that such a life no longer existed. He was the heir of the last Alpha, and the world had started moving because of it. Ahead rode Lyra, her white hair shifting in the cold wind. Beside Ethan rode Celine. Neither spoke much. The revelation that she was the daughter of the Alpha still lingered between them, not as anger, not as distrust, as uncertainty. Ethan wasn't sure what to feel, yet whenever danger appeared, his eyes instinctively searched for her, and whenever he looked, she was already watching him. The Alpha led the column from the front. Hundreds of werewolves followed. Some traveled in human form. Others preferred their wolf shapes. The sight would have terrified Ethan only weeks earlier. Now it felt strangely normal. The road climbed steadily into the northern wilderness. Civilization grew scarce. Villages became rare. Ruins became common. Old towers stood broken among hillsides. Ancient battlefields stretched across empty valleys. Everywhere Ethan looked, he saw evidence of forgotten wars. "How old are these?" he asked. Lyra followed his gaze. "Some are over 1,000 years old." 1,000? She nodded. The world was very different before Ragnar. The name still carried weight, like a curse. Even the werewolves grew quiet whenever it was mentioned. That night they camped beside a frozen lake. The water reflected the moon perfectly, a silver mirror beneath the stars. The Alpha had ordered double watches, no fires beyond the central camp. No one wandered alone. The tension was obvious. Something was hunting them. Everyone knew it. No one knew when it would strike. Unable to sleep, Ethan walked toward the lake. The air was bitterly cold. Snow crunched beneath his boots. He stopped at the shoreline. For a long moment he simply stared at his reflection. But then he noticed something strange. His reflection wasn't moving correctly. Ethan froze. The figure in the water slowly lifted its head. Its eyes glowed silver. A gigantic wolf stood where his reflection should have been. Not in the real world. Inside the water. Inside the reflection. Watching him. Waiting. Then it spoke. Not with words. With thought. "You are awakening." Ethan stumbled backward. "What are you?" "Your inheritance." The silver wolf stepped closer. Its eyes held centuries of wisdom and sadness. Darkness returns. The old enemy rises. "Ragnar?" The wolf remained silent. "No." A chill ran down Ethan's spine. There was something worse than Ragnar. Something the spirit feared. Before Ethan could ask another question, the reflection shattered. The lake returned to normal. The wolf was gone. "Ethan," he spun around. Celine stood behind him. Concern filled her eyes. "Are you okay?" He hesitated, then nodded. "I think so." She didn't look convinced. "You looked frightened." "I saw something." "What?" Ethan told her everything. The silver wolf, the warning, the ancient fear. Celine listened carefully. When he finished, she stared toward the mountains. "My father once told me a story." "What story?" "The first monsters." Ethan frowned. "I thought werewolves were the first monsters." "No." Her voice became quieter. "Something came before us." The wind howled across the frozen lake. For reasons neither could explain, both suddenly felt very small. The attack came before dawn. No alarms, no warning, only screams. Ethan awoke instantly. The camp was already in chaos. Figures moved through the darkness, fast, silent, deadly. Blood sprayed across the snow. A warrior fell beside Ethan, his throat torn open. Something huge leaped over the body. Red eyes, gray skin, rows of razor teeth, a bloodborne. Then another appeared, and another, and another. The camp had been surrounded. The enemy was already inside. "To arms!" roared the Alpha. The night exploded into violence. Ethan grabbed a sword. A bloodborne charged him immediately. Its movements were unnatural, almost insect-like. It twisted around his strike, claws flashing. Ethan barely blocked in time. The impact nearly broke his arm. The creature smiled. It enjoyed this. Then it lunged. At the last second, a silver blade cut through its neck. "Lyra." The monster collapsed. "Stay focused," she shouted. "Trying." A second attacker rushed them. Then a third. Soon the battlefield became a blur of steel and claws. Everywhere Ethan looked, warriors fought for survival. The snow had turned red. Then the sky itself changed. Clouds swirled overhead. Moonlight vanished. Darkness consumed the battlefield. Even the bloodborne stopped. A terrible silence followed. Every warrior looked upward. Something enormous moved within the storm. Not flying, crawling, as though the clouds were its prison. The Alpha's face went pale. No. The single word carried genuine fear. "What is it?" Ethan shouted. The Alpha never answered, because at that moment a colossal crimson eye opened within the clouds, and every living creature beneath it felt the same thing. Terror, pure ancient terror. The war had only just begun, to be continued in the